welcome back. We're going to make some more compiler errors by compiling our final project again and going to the top. And in the last video, which was only a few minutes ago, I just took a quick break, we corrected some errors that actually are eerily similar to these errors, where we were having some binding issues. We corrected some of those errors already. And that seems to be what these are. So cannot bind a non-const L value reference of type GameObjectList reference to an R value of type GameObjectList by value. So here in the transfer item function, this parameter, when we defined this function, obviously expects a non-constant L value reference. So there's obviously an ampersand. It's expecting an item being passed by reference. So item with an ampersand. And this is obviously just passing one back, a game object list by reference. This is what it expects. And we're just passing back a game object list by value. So that's an issue. We've dealt with that same type of issue before, so that should be fairly easy. And then here, same thing. This is returning a game object list as an R value, just a temporary value, doesn't have storage memory, and we're expecting it to be a reference. So that's an issue we've dealt with before. We've dealt with all these issues before, so this should be fairly easy to fix. So we're going to do that right now. And those were on lines 271, 237, 293, 302, 237, that sort of thing. So right here in transfer function is one of them, 271. Again, this is expecting something else. This is expecting a reference. So what we're ultimately going to do is we're going to go to location, its class, and player class, and we're going to change the getGameObject so that it returns a reference, not a value. Because again, if we go to transfer item, we're expecting references in both those spots. So I don't have to go to transfer item. If I just hover over, you can see that it expects its parameters are expected to be references. It's expecting all references indicated by the ampersands here, right? And yet the only reference I'm passing is the first one, a pointer, dereference of an item. But these aren't. So let's go to location and character classes and fix that getGameObjects. So the getGameObjects is not defined as a function in the location class. We're just calling it, but it's not defined, meaning it's in the parent class of location. So the parent class is GameObjectContainer. So we'll go there. First we'll check the character class though and see if GameObject is in there. And it's not there. So we got to go to the parent class again. The parent class of location is GameObjectContainer. So if we go to GameObjectContainer, we can see that we have the getGameObject function. And it's a constant function, and it returns a GameObjectList. See, we're just returning a GameObjectList by value. But if we put a little ampersand here, again, it doesn't matter if I put it there or if I put it there. It's just a preference, what you like for style. I actually kind of like it here. A lot of people like it the other way, but this kind of explicits to me says, hey, the return type is a reference to a GameObjectList. I find when the ampersand is over here, I can almost not see it, and I'm just like, oh, I'm passing some back by value. But I'll leave it there. That's kind of the more common convention I've seen. So if I do that, qualifiers dropped in binding reference of this to initializer type of const. I can get rid of the const here. It doesn't really. So we'll save that, and we should be able to get rid of some of these errors now. So we should see really all of these 200 errors go, and even this 308 error, and we'll just be left with this 237. So let's see. Not even that 230, so it's something else now. But so yeah, we got rid of most of those errors, and now we'll figure out what the next errors are going forward. Might actually skip these for a minute and just go to, there seems to be a lot of the same error associated with the riddle class, and it's probably a fairly simple error because it says get, and I think I had this before in one of my earlier videos where basically I know my riddle class, I extend my riddle class is a derived class of std vector, so a vector of type string, and I think I meant to make a get function that basically would grab something from the riddle class, and I think I forgot to initialize it. So I could fix this either by one, just calling the pop function, pop back function, or using some algorithm to grab something from a certain spot to find something from the vector using some algorithms from the standard template library. But basically, I don't have a get function, I don't think, with the riddle class at this point when I should. And as the error says, class std vector of type chapter, that's chapter, class std vector of type riddle. I guess I think got the same issue with chapter, but std vector of type riddle has no member name get. So that's obviously the issue. So we'll fix that in another video, but basically, do I have riddle up here? No, so I'll just quickly pull up the riddle class and show you, and that'll be a teaser for next video when I come back after a short break. But I don't look. I have a get question. I have a get answer. Getter, get hint. I don't have any just get function. So that's obviously the issue here. But riddle. Oh, and riddle doesn't even extend. I thought I extended the std vector class. I guess I didn't. But I do have a lot of std vector stuff in my riddle class. I'm surprised I didn't just extend it, but or by extend I mean make it a derived class. But I use a lot of vector stuff, so obviously I need to create a get function that just gets whatever I need. But I guess I have a get question function. So I seen a get question function earlier. Let me just scroll up here. Get question returns a question. Maybe that's all I need to do is switch that. Let me go see what the error is again. Riddle already asked. Okay, riddle get 0 dot ask riddle. So presumably that get is actually just referring to a question. Let's go to 503 and let's go to 503 in line 503 in Alice Wonderland text-based adventure header file. 503. So we're in here. riddles.get. So if riddle already asked dot get 0 dot boolean value, if it's here, well, you know what? This is ultimately riddles already asked is a std vector. So I'm just going to solve this while we're here. Riddles.get already asked. Let me just look at that function. I could have just searched it by this time, I guess. I should have. Okay. Okay, let's search it up. Already asked. Okay, so riddle already asked. This is a vector of type bool. Yeah, so it's a static vector of type bool. Yeah, and so is there a function get riddle already asked? Get riddle already asked. I didn't see it there, but get okay. Maybe I keep misreading the thing. GetRiddle already asked is a function that just doesn't seem to exist. Yeah, I have no member GetRiddle already asked. So I guess I created a function or meant to and just didn't do it. So I will have to fix that. And that will hopefully solve a lot of issues. Also, riddles.get, well, riddles, which is a std vector of type riddle, and I'm just saying get. Well, get's not a function with a vector class. What is if I said at. If I switch this to at, and right, that'll clear that up. That would work. So I could really just probably switch them all to at, but then I still need to solve the issue of this not being a function. So we'll have to do that in another video. Obviously, it looks like there's quite a few errors associated with the riddle class still, and I'd solved some before. But all these gets, these should be all a quick at function, because I'm obviously trying to access the index, and that's what I was attempting to do with this function. So I could just at one is, I don't know why I called it get. Again, I've been doing some stuff with Java at the same time, so maybe get is in my head for, I think get might be possibly a member function associated with an array list, which is in Java. So, but obviously, yeah, std vector has no member get. So I will call the add function and switch that up, and that should work. Or if I didn't want to go through and switch all of these atts up, which would be fairly easy. I mean, I just go in here and I'll do I'll hover over one of the get functions and Control F, and then I'll do replace. I could just replace that with at. It'd be fairly quick, right? I could do that. But it might be easier to actually just go to the riddle class and create a get function that literally just goes and accesses the std vector. Like so, if I create an at function, I'll just make it right up here at the top so we can see it right away. If I created like a at and I need to return a string, I guess I need to return a riddle. Actually, let's just do at first. I'm just going to do a void function for now. If I call it at, and I take in an int for the index, and if index is less than 0, look, there's even some help for me. Or index is greater than or equal to riddle already asked dot size. We'll throw a note of range error thing. Yeah, that's good. So it does some error checking for me, which is why you use the at method associated with vectors in the first place, the actual at method, as opposed to the index array. I would do that. Oh, you know what? I just realized I'm making an at method. That's the standard one. I want to call something get. So, yeah, I want to call something get. I can then call the at method. Look, riddle's already asked. Like, I'm not going to do it now, but I would basically use either the indexing array here on my riddle. Like I return, not riddle's already asked. I return riddle, like whatever the name I gave to my array associated with this. So my question, I return the question. So yeah, I might just return question at a certain spot. I'll figure that out in another video. I'm just rambling at this point because I'm trying to think on the spot, and it's been a while since I made the riddle class. But bottom line is, we'll fix all these errors in the next one. I'm going to look at riddle, find out what's going on. Thanks for watching.